Gimel Tammuz was the day that Joshua made the sun stand still. There's never been a miracle quite like it before. We'll see what happened, but essentially what happened was that the whole entire system of the heavens stopped. One day was missing. And it's an interesting thing because a long time ago I was interested in long time ago, in mysticism and things like that, and I learned astrology. I never really did it. You could make charts and tell people things. I was just about to the point where doing it, but I gave up. Anyway, there was a book, and the person, the astrology, he made astrology like the charts of astrology. And he said that that you have to take off 1 year from the calendar and 1 day. The calendar is 1 year and a day off. The 1 year was when the flood was. That's what he says. The 1 year was when the flood, and the 1 day was when Joshua, a non-Jew, totally non-Jew, had nothing connection to Judaism. He was just being, scientific, and 1 day was when Joshua made the sun stand still. So he made not just the sun stand still, the whole constellation stood still. Oh, Mazal Tov, Yafeh. Todah. Invitation to a wedding. There had never been such a miracle before, quite such a miracle before or after. And the Shanim Rabot La'acharken, and many years afterwards, Shachrur was freed. Shuchrar was freed. Harebi, the Rebbe, Mimasaro, from his imprisonment, Ba'oto Yom, on the same day. V'gam Shichrur Zeh, and this was one of the biggest miracles, Biyoter Shidrachshu B'Dorenu, in our generation. Tremendous miracle. Right? We're on L'Rukuti Torah, L'Rukuti Sichot Chet. Right? It was impossible for anyone to stand against communism. They killed so many people, and with no problem, they could kill anybody. And the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe was in their hand. He wasn't hiding away somewhere where they couldn't get him. He was in their control. They could just send a person to kill him any moment. But there was absolutely nothing there that stopped him. And the only thing, and that was the only thing that protected him was God. But those things are not revealed. A miracle is when you see that God is protecting. A miracle is when you see that it's God doing it. Right? God always protects us.
If you don't see, sometimes God's there and you don't see Him.
Then it's not a miracle.
It's just normal.
That seems to be normal.
God always protects people. Whether through miracles.
Everything, it's a miracle. The fact that we're here is a miracle. The fact that we're alive is a miracle. But people don't call that miracles. They call it nature. But once in a while, something happens that you can't call it nature.
But isn't nature part of God itself?
Yes, but that's what I say. Everything is a miracle. Everything that happens is a miracle. But when it happens constantly in an orderly way, it's called nature. But when
that part of God?
Let's go further. The cave, and since Shenei says Shichrur, since that the miracle of being free from imprisonment of the Rebbe, know what happened by means of Hashkacha Elyoni, because of God's intervention, L'yom, on the day. And it happened, which day did it happen? L'yom Shaboid Rachesh Hanes, on the same exact day that occurred the miracle of Yoshua, Shemesh B'Givon Dom. Yesh Lomar, we can say, Shezeh Shayach Elav. Somehow it must be relevant one to the other. The freedom of the Rebbe from communist prison and the stopping of the sun by Joshua 3,000 years earlier must be connected. Besignon Chassidi, or in the language of Chassidut. Mekeven, since Sheshnei Nisim, okay, be with me here. Since that both of these miracles, Koru, occurred in the same day, Hari Sheyesh Benim Kesher. It must be that they have a very deep connection one with the other. Now, everything in the world has a connection with everything else. Everything is interconnected. But sometimes God makes it so that we can see the connection. Sometimes there are certain things which you can see hashgacha pratis. one of the big examples is the Megillah of Esther, not on Purim. On the Megillah of Esther, it tells this whole order of things that happened. Right? In the course of many years, it happened. Right? What is it, 12, 15 years that everything happened. And everything seems to be normal. Right? The king makes a meal. He invites everybody. His wife doesn't want to come. He has her killed. All of a sudden, he's looking for another wife. It happens to be that he picks a Jew. And it happens to be that this happens to be Esther. And she is the relative of Mordechai. And she has the ability to go in. And then the Haman comes. The whole entire thing could be very natural. Things like that happen all the time. But when we put the whole thing together, suddenly we realize that this is a very big miracle. A very big miracle happened. Lefia Yedua, as is known, Shakol Moadim, that all of the holidays, Nir Mazim, are hinted at, Beparshiot, in the portion of the Torah, Hanikraot B'Torah Samuch Lehem, which happens on the Torah portion that we read in them. You okay?
Thankfully, Baruch Hashem.
Passover is usually read in the beginning of the book of Leviticus. Passover is read in the so therefore it has some sort of a connection with that. Here we have Gimel Tammuz is usually read in the time of Korach, so it must have a connection between Korach. So these three things have a connection. Korach, the third day of Tammuz, in which occurred the freedom of the previous Rebbe, and the sun standing still. Now the thing of the freedom of the previous Rebbe, it wasn't just an individual thing, because communism, its goal was to take over the whole world. And it had big plans to take over the whole world. And by the Rebbe defying communism and eventually defeating it, it really changed the whole entire map of the world. Right? It's a bit hard to believe that one person could do so much. But here we see that's what Abraham did. Right? Changed the whole world. And we see Lahavdil, all the other religions as well. Right? One person stands up and he does something, and everybody catches on to him, or they make up stories about him. But it's still the idea that one person could have a tremendous effect. So here's the previous Rebbe had a tremendous effect on Judaism. The idea of waking up Jews and the idea that every Jew is holy. This was unheard of before the previous Rebbe took action, started to save Jews. So the previous Rebbe got free, and also this is the day when Korach, when Yehoshua made the sun stand still. Like it says, Shemesh beGivon Dom. The sun was silent in Givon. What does it mean it was silent? Every planet has its song that it sings. And that's what makes it move. It says every planet has its song, its vibration. And God made it miracle that all the planets were quiet. They didn't sing. So when they didn't sing, they didn't move. Huh? Good or not?
Yes.
Right, very good. Thank you. I'm glad that we have your approval.
You're welcome.
Base.
My signature, by the way.
We understand each other.
Cool.
Wait, let's start another page.
What?